Chapter 3 of Rendezvous with Rama, Rama and Sita. According to the meeting of the Space Advisory Council, the extraordinary meeting of the Space Advisory Council was brief and stormy. Even by the 22nd century, no one had yet discovered no way had yet been discovered of keeping elderly and conservative scientists from occupying crucial administrative positions. Indeed, it was doubted if the problem would ever be solved. To make matters worse, the current chairman of the SAC was Professor Emeritus Olaf Davisson, the distinguished astrophysicist. Professor Davisson was not much interested in the objects of smaller than galaxies and never bothered to conceal his prejudices. And though he admitted that 90% of his science was now based upon observation from the spaceborne instruments, he was not at all happy about it. No fewer than 3 times during his distinguished career, satellites especially launched to prove one of his pet theories had done it precisely the opposite. The question before the council was straightforward enough. There was no doubt that Rama was an unusual object, but was it an important one? In a few months, it would be gone forever. So there was little time in which to act. Opportunities missed now would never reoccur. At a rather horrifying cost, a space probe soon to be launched from Mars to go beyond Neptune could be modified to sent on a high-speed trajectory to meet Rama. There was no hope of a rendezvous. It would be the fastest flyby on record. For the two bodies would pass each other at 200,000 kilometers an hour. Rama would be observed intensively for only a few minutes, and in real close-up for less than a second. But with the right instrumentation, that would be long enough to settle many questions. Although Davidson took a jaundiced view of the Neptune probe, it had already been approved, and he saw no point in sending more good money after bad. He spoke eloquently on the follies of asteroid chasing and on the urgent need of a new high-resolution interferometer on the moon to prove a newly revived Big Bang theory of creation once and for all. That was the grave tactical error, because the 3 most ardent supporters of the modified steady-state theory were also members of the council. They secretly agreed with Davisson that asteroid chasing was a waste of money. Nevertheless, he lost by 1 vote. 3 months later, the space probe, rechristened Sita, was launched from Phobos, the inner moon of Mars. The flight time was several weeks, and the instrument was switched to full power only 5 minutes before the interception. Simultaneously, a cluster of camera pods was released to sail past Rama so that it could be photographed from all sides. The first image, from 10,000 kilometers away, brought to a halt the activities of all mankind. On 1 billion television screens, there appeared tiny featureless cylinder, growing rapidly second by second. By the time it had doubled in size, no one could pretend any longer that Rama was a natural object. Its body was a cylinder, so geometrically perfect that it might have been turned on a lathe. One with centers 50 kilometers apart, 2 ends were quite flat, apart from one small structure at the center of the face, and were 20 kilometers across from distance. When there was no sense of scale, Rama looked almost cosmically like an ordinary domestic boiler. Rama grew until it filled the screen. Its surface was dull, drab, gray, as colorless as the moon, and completely devoid of markings except at one point. Halfway along the cylinder, there was a kilometer-wide stain or smear, as if something had once hit or splattered ages ago. There was no sign of the impact had done the slightest damage to Rama's spinning walls, but the mark had produced the slight fluctuation in the brightness that had led Stenton's discoveries. The image from the other camera added nothing new. However, the trajectories their pods traced through Rama's minute gravitational field gave other vital pieces of information. The mass of the cylinder. It was far too light to be a solid body. To nobody's great surprise, it was clear that Rama must be hollow. The long-hoped-for, long-feared encounter had come at last. Mankind was about to receive the first visitor from the stars. And that's chapter 3.